We're going to take a look at universal basic income, and I'm curious to know your thoughts. Average rental prices rose by 7.5% in the past year. That's just the average, so prices in many areas are up even more. In Afghanistan, the Taliban has taken over our aircrafts that we left behind. This includes fighter jets and Black Hawk military helicopters. The Taliban now officially has an air force funded by American taxpayers, which is you and me. The politicians are discussing modifications to the human infrastructure bill to provide billions of dollars in aid to the Afghan people. The politicians are going to make a final decision on the details once they return back from vacation. The Taliban says that they're going to respect women's rights, but in their own way. We're going to go over the women's rights situation in Afghanistan. The federal government has declared the first water shortage on the Colorado River. The Colorado River supplies water to 40 million people. This is your Wednesday news, and I hope you're having a very nice day. The state of California wants to set an example of the benefits of guaranteed income, also known as Universal Basic Income, or UBI. The state legislature is hoping that Universal Basic Income becomes a national program. Here's the current status of UBI in California. On July 15th, the California State Legislature approved the first state-sponsored guaranteed income program. Democrats and Republicans all voted yes. It was approved by the California State Senate by a vote of 36-0 and by the California Assembly on a vote of 64-0. So the State Department of Social Services is going to decide who gets the money. They've decided to start with monthly payments for pregnant women and adults coming out of the foster youth program. The localities will be responsible for carrying out the programs. Currently, 7 areas of California have 9 UBI programs in existence. Each city or locality has their own rules. In Oakland, you must have at least one child under 18 years old to qualify. In San Francisco, you must be an artist or an art-focused educator, and prioritization is given to Black and Pacific Islanders. In Santa Clara County, you must be coming out of the foster care system. In Marin County, you must be a low-income woman of color raising at least one child younger than 17 years old. The group Mayors for a Guaranteed Income is saying that guaranteed income reduces poverty, encourages people to work, and improves the mental and physical health of recipients. But critics of UBI are saying that guaranteed income programs do not work. They're pointing out that guaranteed income programs flopped in Finland. Finland conducted studies, and they found that UBI did not increase economic activity or employment. But they concluded that recipients of the money had decreased levels of stress and anxiety. Finland discontinued their UBI program. Canada experimented with UBI in Ontario. The program was terminated early because the government said that it was insufficient in ending poverty. The Canadian government also concluded that recipients of the money had lower levels of stress and higher levels of self-confidence. So we'll track the progress of UBI in California. However, it's going to be a smaller rollout, but it's expected to expand. Please let me know your thoughts on UBI because it's getting more popular in America. Prices in the rental market have been skyrocketing, and there's an affordability crisis. On Tuesday, according to a report from CoreLogic, average rental prices rose by 7.5% in the past year. So here's what's going on. Home prices have been increasing rapidly, and it's forcing potential home buyers to keep on renting. This is causing more demand for rentals because so many people simply cannot afford to buy a home. Economists are predicting that the surge in rent prices is going to make the housing crisis worse in the upcoming months ahead. Millennials are entering their peak home buying years in 2022 and 2023. So the demand for homes will remain high, which means that home prices will stay high, which means that rent prices will stay high. In political news, when it comes to Afghanistan, the majority of Americans wanted our troops to come back home. So most Americans are not upset about the decision to bring our troops back home. Americans are upset about how bad the withdrawal was managed. Democratic Senator Robert Menendez, who is the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is holding the Biden administration responsible for the poorly executed and mismanagement of the withdrawal process. Menendez's exact quote was, "In implementing this flawed plan, I am disappointed that the Biden administration clearly did not accurately assess the implications of a rapid U.S. withdrawal." In May, Menendez urged the Biden administration to reconsider their withdrawal plan, but they did not listen. Senator Jim Risch, the ranking member on the Foreign Relations Committee, said, "The Biden administration leaves the U.S. vulnerable to future harm. This rushed and political decision to withdraw without consideration of priorities will allow Afghanistan to serve as a future platform for attacks against the United States." Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is working on articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden for his failed withdrawal strategy. Greene said, "I have my team right now working on articles of impeachment because I'm so disgusted with Joe Biden. His failure as a president is unspeakable." And I want to give you an idea of how badly things went down in Afghanistan. Personnel at the U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan were evacuated out by helicopters. Before they left, they performed emergency evacuation procedures, which included the burning of files. The Taliban seized America's Black Hawk military helicopters. The Taliban is showing off their new A-29 attack planes, MD-530 helicopters, A-29 Super Tucano attack aircraft, and MD-530F light military helicopters. You can check out the pictures of their big smiles with their new Air Force on Twitter. We didn't just give the Taliban an Air Force, we also left them cargo planes, vehicles, guns, heavy artillery, ammunition, military bases, and more. The politicians are still working on the human infrastructure bill. They're going to finish it up when they return back from vacation. The politicians are now discussing modifying the human infrastructure bill to help out the Afghan people. The money would be used to help Afghan refugees settle in America and provide them with refugee cash assistance. Each refugee individual would receive a stipend from the federal government to cover their cost of living. It is expected that over 100,000 Afghan refugees will be transported to America. In international news, the Taliban says that they're going to respect women's rights, but in their own way. Women's rights, from a Western culture's perspective, is expected to end in Afghanistan. In areas controlled by the Taliban, schools for girls have been burned down, women are not allowed to work, and women are not allowed to walk outside by themselves. They need a male family member to accompany them. Women that do go outside with their husband or male relative are required to wear a burqa. Burqas are those long, loose garments that cover the whole body from head to toe. The price of burqas has risen 900% in the past 4 days in Afghanistan. Women that do not comply are publicly shamed and punished for violating the moral code. Publicly shamed, it doesn't mean being made fun of in public. It means getting whipped in public. After the public shaming, they are beaten. This is just how things are over there. In current events, the federal government has declared the first water shortage on the Colorado River. The Colorado River supplies water to 40 million people. Based on negotiations that took place in 2019 between 7 states, Arizona will take the bulk of the water reductions first. There's going to be mandatory cutbacks for Arizona farmers. If the situation gets worse, more states will be given mandatory cutbacks. Experts are saying that we're in uncharted territory and we don't know what's going to happen if the drought continues next year. Water levels are at critically low levels because of overusage. The situation has gotten worse because of the droughts and low amounts of snowpack. The soil has become so dry that it soaks up most of the melting snow like a sponge before it can run off into the river. And I wanted to leave you with this interesting news. There's a shortage of so many things, including dogs. There's more demand for dogs than there is supply. As a result, vendors are importing dogs from countries that do not have many regulations. Some of these dogs are coming with a high risk of rabies. The CDC issued a temporary suspension on the importation of dogs from more than 100 countries, including Egypt, China, and India. The US is currently importing more than 1 million dogs a year. The Wangford Vet Clinic says that if you're going to get an imported puppy, ask to see the documentation. Your puppy should have a pet passport with a valid rabies recorded on it. That's news for today. If you enjoyed today's report, please be sure to subscribe. I thank you for your support and I wish you a very nice day.